we're hitting on this subject now called finding your mojo, because I'm talking a lot on this channel about entrepreneurship, especially. And within this, starting your own business can be also trying to find a job that's like an entrepreneur, and also other aspects, when you feel that you've got to change your job and certain things. So I have notes here, I have everything here. I open up everything so that also if anybody wants to try, to be coached into starting a YouTube channel, you see it all here. I have my phone here, I have my whiteboard, and this is the way I'm going to do things. And running off the notes, etc., is a good idea with limited time sometimes, which, being an entrepreneur takes up a lot of time. So finding your mojo. So the first thing is just get started. What's holding you back? Start. And you start by doing research into certain things. In this case, I've started a new production company. A lot of this work that I'll be doing now in terms of like coaching is also partly how I go about with the clients, finding out what they want, what they want to do, how they want to, develop their brands, how they want to then market that brand, how they want to, everything from logos, everything you need. And whether you're already a little bit established or started, this is the channel for you. And we're going to have a lot of subjects coming up in the future, including, as I see entrepreneurship is getting your own, getting the job, a job that you love. It's like a project to get that job. Projects are also negated by changes in one's life. You want to change your job, your highs and your lows. And in this case here, we'll say like a successful career path without, your qualifications, etc. How to change, how to be more disciplined. Also written all down, of course. Getting life out of the way, distractions, how to, base your business on philosophy and values and get more out of everything. Monetize certain things. I'm just thinking then if you were a hairdresser, and you monetize it so you can film when your customers come in, etc. And sometimes when you're creating something like what we're creating right now, it really helps you to see very clearly what your goals are, what your aims are, etc. So let's just go back a little bit and say just get started. When is it that you can start anything? And the things, that come up in your life, they're always going to come up. Some things, whether you have a child, whether you have a dog, whether you have anything, boyfriend troubles or girlfriend troubles or marriage troubles, what you've got to do is basically get this out of the way. You've got to be able to focus in on really what you want to do. And if you can't start, then you can't have what you're trying to start. It's as simple as that. And so changes in your life, there have been many changes in my life, and I'm really happy to say that I got through them all. And I got through them all with a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of, accepting change and vision, having a vision about my philosophies and my values. So let's go to this subject about basing your business on your philosophy. There's no point to try to sort of base your business on the fact that you want the glory and the success of being successful and having a supercar and all this kind of stuff. You have to really base your business on your own personal philosophy. Now, I've been involved, I think I'm going to list here in the early days, music. I've been involved for a long time in the music business as a record promoter as well as DJing in the early days. So you're talking about in the 80s. I've moved into club management, event management, a similar kind of field. And then you're looking at me later going back to study, and all through, having many projects that I started and going on into the travel business, and as well as for the travel business, marketing, brand development, etc., marketing, which is what I've always done all along, because that's partly why what I studied in good old Birmingham Polytechnic. So I just would say that, if you're not basing your business on your own philosophy, and you're just trying to project something that is not really you, so you've got to work out what is you, what is your philosophy, how are you going to treat people who work for you, how you're going to get on with those people, how much you're going to socialize, should you keep a distance, this kind of thing. And, based on your philosophy and your values, that they are prepared to work as hard as you, you've got to be able to also pay them, what they are worth. Otherwise, they'll lose a whole load of interest. And that's how, for me, you'll get through in the end if, you respect your people that work for you, and, you have to also have respect from them, the people that work for you, in all sorts of different aspects. So that brings me on to also certain disciplines you have to put a lot into it. You can socialize, but you can't do it as much as everybody else because you've got to be up early most of the time. And this would be really, how you go about running your own business. So you've got to find, the right energy. Finding your mojo means there's something, obviously you go down this road and you want to do it. So you've got to do it. So you've got to find something inside. Sometimes I can honestly say, I didn't know I had certain things in me, a certain motivation. It's difficult to explain, but it's like a feeling that you have about yourself. You can vision something. You might experience one part of that in some form of entertainment. I'm just thinking on cars. I was always interested in stock car racing. So later I was heavily involved with cars, limousine, big, nice Mercedes Benz, Maybach, and these kind of cars, etc. So everything's connected. I was always having a camera. So photography was a really big part of my dream. I can't believe now that I can integrate photography into my work. Whereas before I always had to do bread and butter. We would call it a bread and butter kind of job. I don't know what you call it, but you could not exactly bring your camera along to your catering job, where you have to be on a till or something. I was always good at counting money. I also worked in the record industry, as I say, with record shops. So that was a bit of a dream. There were the records, but I can't think that I could ever get the chance, take the camera out. But now I can integrate my love of cameras and photography into my work, and I'm over the moon about that. So just like your business has to be connected with your passion, and your passion is where your motivation lies, and that's where your mojo is. Why you would get up in the morning at 5 o'clock and you've got to get to an airport, or you've got to get to a studio, or you've got to be doing something crazy this time of the morning, as people tell you. So, you've got to basically get your together and do this kind of thing. And therefore, then, you're getting as much out of everything as possible and retaining this kind of core feeling that motivates you to work this way. Finally, in order to really get to where you're going, some people cannot organize themselves, or at least they don't know how to progress, So I would say that, I always think that going back to reading a lot like I used to, is that I always understood a story much more because it was in chapters, because there was, parts of it were, with a foreword about the author, why, certain things. So, this beginning chapter, sort of, and the goal in the end, or why the book was written, because there's a conclusion there, usually towards the last chapters. And this is the way to how to do it, If you say you're 30 now and will do this kind of work, you want to do it all your life, you've got 30 years, chapters, if there are 6 chapters, you've got one every 5 years. Obviously, I think that you should probably do one every 1 chapter for every 2.5 years. So, yeah, that's how it can work. That's how you can divide it all into quantifiable, projection about how you're going to be an entrepreneur, etc. So, just added some footnotes here. As I said, I'm going to, write this on a board here, but don't let anything hold you up. Look for something. Is it like the light? I don't know what it is, but you've got to find it, because that's going to be your core motivation, the thread that runs through your entrepreneurship. And you've got to take those risks, and you've got to especially get started.